Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where we take a look at the highs and lows from the football week just past. Joining me, it's Doogie Critchley in his Real Madrid top, ready for ERU, live on your screens in an hour's time. How was your weekend?
Very good, very good. Went to MK Dons Sunderland, was probably the highlight. Watched the mighty Black Cats come out 1-0 winners with an 82nd minute curled winner.
No one asked for details.
But no, it was very good. How was yours?
I cut my finger.
Oh,
trying to carve a slice of bread from a loaf that was made in a bakery.
Oh, a tiger loaf.
That'll teach me to try and live above my station. Yeah. So there we have it. Anyway, talking of red, hey, Liverpool kick off our winners section. This came from Elijah Shoes 97, and it's a pretty obvious place to start.
Yeah, I mean, we had to start here. It was a pretty dominant performance against Man United at home, ran out 2-0 winners, and they now go 16 points ahead in the Premier League with a game in hand. They've now won consecutive home Premier League games against Man United for the first time since winning 3 in a row between September 2008 and March 2011. Stats-wise, the game was relatively close. The Merseyside club edged possession with 53%, managing 5 shots on target to United's 4, with XG suggesting the Red Devils were unlucky not to score, rating it at 2.01 to 1.42 in Liverpool's favour. Trent had another fantastic game, just continuing his incredible season. Made 3 successful tackles and getting an assist. Since the start of last season, no one has got more Premier League assists than the fullback, with 21. But it was Virgil van Dijk who got man of the match. The Dutchman made 3 tackles and interceptions, 8 clearances, and scored the first goals for the Reds, whilst also keeping a clean sheet, and was unlucky, I thought, to not contribute to that second goal, the one that was disallowed from Firmino. There was a lot of disagreement on the Football Daily chat about this. I didn't think it was a foul, but some people had very strong views otherwise. I just thought he was contesting for the ball. I think you're allowed to compete for the ball with a goalkeeper without committing a foul. His arms were down, his eyes were on the ball, so I thought that was slightly harsh. And Liverpool have now kept 7 consecutive Premier League clean sheets for the first time since December 2006. So it feels like that one weakness at the start of the year, where they were shipping goals in the Premier League and keeping games relatively tight, doesn't seem to be happening anymore. Gomez and Van Dijk imperious.
Yeah, Gomez has become his partner now, hasn't he? Matip started the season relatively well, but Gomez has definitely taken his game one notch above, hasn't he? And I was sort of debating with fans on Twitter, Football Daily, whether or not Manchester United deserved to be in this game at any point. And I was, relatively impressed with 20 or 30 minutes of their second half showing. They played football in patches, didn't they? This wasn't the most dominant Liverpool performance we've seen all season, but it was incisive. There were moments where they were completely unplayable, but fair play to Ole for making some readjustments, for keeping Manchester United in the game. I think his approach against Liverpool has always been relatively sensible. But I do stress that my opinion of Manchester United is quite low, so it's all relative. So I don't mind giving them some credit in this instance. Anyway, back to the stats, because it now means that Liverpool have taken 91 points from the last 93 available in the Premier League, playing 31, winning 30 and drawing 1. Absolutely sickening.
Crazy.
In comparison, Manchester United have won 42 points in the same period, less than half of Liverpool's for those that struggle with maths. The Red Devils have lost 9 of the last 16 away games in the Premier League as well, so really suffering on the road, a bit like my throat there, nearly gave out. Winning 3, drawing 4, losing 9, failing to score in 8 of those, and that is the big issue, particularly with Rashford out now. It came to light that he has been playing through a couple of, I was going to say niggling injuries, but I think that undersells it. He's got a bit of floating
injuries,
cartilage in his ankle. He has a stress fracture in his back. I think 2 stress fractures.
I think it was 1 now
after playing through that pain barrier against Wolves. A lot of Manchester United fans up in arms about the fact they've had to rely on their 22-year-old star striker to drag them through this period whilst carrying those injuries. It does beg the question, is that a responsible thing to do? I think Joe made his thoughts pretty clear on Twitter. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. And now, as a result, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's win percentage as United boss is the lowest of any manager who has succeeded Sir Alex Ferguson. But Roy Keane still thinks that he should be given more time Let's hear from the Grizzly midfielder.
What about the previous managers over the last few years? Are you saying they're all bad managers?
At Manchester United?
Yeah,
Do you think they've done good jobs? You slaughtered Mourinho when he was in the job.
I think but he needed more time.
He needed more time. You'd have given Mourinho more time on the back of the performance here last year.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game. Because we question Ollie, he's not up to it. Look at his CV. But yeah, for some reason, other managers go to clubs and they're given the benefit of the doubt.
Probably the CV gives him the benefit of the doubt.
Frank Lampard's at Chelsea. I saw Chelsea last night.
He's been in the job 6 months.
And I'd say the same. Give him time. Give Ollie a bit of time. How long's Ollie been in the job?
Or is it 18 months? Just over 12
Is it that long? I don't think it's 18 months.
Last defeat here was, well, that's
Can we
when
find
Jose
out?
lost
Find out how
his
long's
job.
Ollie been in the job.
It was the defeat here at Old Trafford, wasn't it, for Jose Mourinho that did it?
not 18 months,
December 18.
16 months. Give the man a chance. I watched Chelsea last night. Chelsea, decent team. They couldn't get the job done. Frank Lampard's lost 8 games. But for some reason, Frank's doing all right. Frank, maybe because he's English. I don't know.
Well, he's ahead of Man United. He's had no transfer window yet.
Frank's track record at CV went to Derby, didn't get promoted. But Frank's got all the answers for Chelsea. He hasn't. But give him time. I'd say give the man time.
I completely agree.
It's nothing to do with Ollie and all this carry on. Give him a time. And the 3 previous managers before Ollie, are you telling me they don't know what the game is about, Jamie? They know what the game is about.
So who's the problem? Tell me what the problem is on Manchester United.
David Moyes is given a 6-year contract. Alex Ferguson on the pitch going,
so you'd have kept
get behind the manager, back him.
Would you have
I would have given him a bit more
Moyes?
time. Not 8 months.
Given the 6 years
not
then?
8 months, and I wouldn't have sacked him on Twitter. I wouldn't have given him 8 months. Are you telling me David Moyes doesn't deserve more than 8 months?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, he deserves. Absolutely.
So you still have him there in the job? OK, well, how long would you give Ollie? How long would you give Ollie to
give
turn
Ollie
it round?
certainly another year. 100%. Another year.
I've got to say, in that very fractious conversation, I sympathise more with Jamie Carragher's point of view in that I'm struggling to see how Manchester United improve sizably under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm not saying that it's fair, the level of expectation that is put on him, given what he currently has at his disposal, but Manchester United are struggling to improve players. They're struggling to bring in the right sort of player, and their star players aren't necessarily buying into his medium to long-term vision. So I do think time is running out for him. To give him another year would be extremely generous, in my point of view, considering the wage bill, the fact that they were the highest spending club in the summer, the calibre of manager that has failed beforehand. What's your point of view? Do you think there's anything of merit in what Roy's saying there?
I feel like Roy is so keen to basically... That was actually completely accidental. But he's very keen to hammer players when they have a drop in performance. He was pretty damning with his talk about Martial's miss yesterday. He's hammered Pogba in the past. He was angry that Shaw was wearing a hat. But he's prepared to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who is muddling along, more time. A year more time for Solskjaer. I think that's just... United are just treading water at the moment. There's great managers available, and you are effectively wasting time by keeping Solskjaer in the job. I feel like they are just going further and further behind. It's not even their immediate rivals for 4th, because they're probably still in the mix for 4th this year, despite playing so poorly.
But they're still level in 5th place, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. The drop behind Liverpool and Man City, they are miles behind both of them, even in City's comparatively poor campaign. So no, I'm with Carragher. I feel like Solskjaer needs to be moved on. But I do also have a lot of sympathy with him, in that the structure at United doesn't lend itself to success at the moment.
And Patrice Evra, I think it was interesting that he said players are now going to Manchester United for money as opposed to, playing for the club, which I suppose has always been a case of that because they are willing to pay such high wages. However, like you're trying to... The project isn't convincing top players to come to the club, so they're having to compensate financially. It's not a great place to be in, is it? That might be alleviated if you have a Pochettino in charge, if you have an Allegri. All of a sudden, you maybe have that Jose Mourinho effect when sort of Manchester United had that summer of big arrivals. But anyway, shining lights in yesterday's fixture. Fred played quite well. I thought Matic was okay in the second half.
Shaw played probably his best game of the season as well, but...
Brandon Williams was positive in the first half.
I mean, there's no shame in losing 2-0 to Liverpool, and it could have been 1-1 if Martial had taken that chance. I don't know why he tried to hit it so hard. But United, it's not really about yesterday. It's about the long term and where they're going. And at the moment, I don't think they're going anywhere fast.
I think that's the perfect note to end on. Enough about Manchester United. Let's move on to our first news.
Before we get into that first loser that Hamill just mentioned, just a quick reminder to subscribe to Football Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss a winners and losers. But the first loser today, Spurs, at the suggestion of friend of the channel, Rum Cobra.
Yeah, a massive clang for the Lily Whites, dropping more points this weekend following that 0-0 draw at Watford. Spurs yet to win a Premier League game since Boxing Day, drawing 2 and losing 2 of their last 4 Premier League fixtures. In fact, based on current form, which is the last 6 games, somewhat arbitrarily, they sit 18th in the league, with only Bournemouth picking up less points than Jose Mourinho's side in that window.
Wow.
And the Portuguese coach might be feeling the pressure once more. After this result, his win percentage at Spurs dropped to 47%, his worst record at club level since 2002. After the game, of course, claimed that his side deserved to win, but the XG actually read in Watford's favour, 2.15 to 1.85. Of course, this does take into account Troy Deeney's penalty, which I think they give a value of 0.75 in most expected goals metrics. So Spurs were better from open play. Enjoyed 59% possession of the ball, had 17 shots to Watford's 15, although conceding 15 to Watford, not great. But could only put 5 of their efforts on target. The home side faring even worse in that regard, with 2. Nevertheless, a competent attacking performance might buoy Jose Mourinho somewhat, seeing as Harry Kane is out. Their average shots per game this season is 12.3, and they've managed to surpass that here. And Spurs fans will be very happy to see Eric Lamela make his first league start since October. He was Pochettino's go-to guy for a lot of tactical headaches, wasn't he? Especially after he scored in the FA Cup midweek. So let's hope that the Argentinian can put together a run of form. In this game, he completed 3 dribbles, had 6 shots and created a chance. However, like we said, Jose still clearly missing the big man up top, and he mentions him at every available opportunity, doesn't he?
The kind of game where you have a goal scorer, where you have a guy that smells goals, probably you win it. And you feel the same when you see the Liverpool game. In the last 20 minutes, how many times we just need a tap in, and you know that missing link is there. But we are doing our work, and we all know, you know, is his injuries, is the Christian situation. We have our problem.
There's no doubt as to who Spurs' main man who is available, though. It's Son for sure, full of endeavour and running as ever in this game, and we'll be disappointed that he didn't actually find the back of the net with a couple of opportunities. So he had 4 shots, he got 2 on target, completed 4 dribbles, created 3 chances and sustained a 97% pass accuracy, better than anyone else on the field. So for a forward, he pretty much did everything he could, but some of his finishing was a little awry. There was also a decent display from Tanganga, playing out of position at left-back on just his 2nd Premier League appearance. The Hackney-born youngster made 6 tackles and interceptions, was dribbled past just once, and made 8 clearances. Only Vertonghen and Alderweireld made more. But man of the match had to be Troy Deeney, who, despite having his penalty save, proved to be a real handful. That's such a word for Troy Deeney, isn't it? Everyone just uses handful, real handful. The Watford captain took 5 shots, the 2nd most on the pitch, and won 20 of his 24 aerial duels. Not a typo.
What?
You did hear that right.
He
20
won
aerial
20
duels.
aerial duels.
For context, he wins on average 7.8 a game with a 43% success rate.
Was
So
he
it's
wearing a
out of his
jetpack?
skin here. Yeah. And shout out to Etienne Capoue, who made 10 tackles and interceptions and won both of his aerial duels. And Jose Mourinho saying he should have been sent off for a slightly high foot, but no chance for me. Capoue definitely deserves to stay on the pitch and made the most of it by the looks of those stats too. Watford has still only lost 1 of their games under Pearson, and that was of course to Liverpool. They're now unbeaten in 9 games in all competitions. Spurs, meanwhile, will hope to get their first league win of 2020 in midweek as they host Norwich on Wednesday evening at home to Norwich. You've got to win that one. So no excuses, Jose. But yeah, get a striker in this window. Probably not the worst idea. And Son, hopefully you bring your shooting boots next time, but good all-round performance. Best of luck on Wednesday.
Go on, Nige. Our final winners are Wolverhampton, and this comes from @lem_WWFC. What the F happened in this game?
Well, it was an absolute thriller. Wolves recovered from a 2-goal deficit to beat Southampton 3-2 as they look to maintain a European spot. Southampton went into the break 2-0 up, following goals from Bednarak. What a goal, by the way.
Right.
Lovely. Cushioned sort of half volley.
Curler.
Love it. And Long, but a second half collapse handed them their first defeat in 6. Neto started the comeback after good work from him, chesting it down and turning.
He's been playing well recently, Neto.
Yeah, big time. Was unlucky to get goals ruled out at Anfield and Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Absolutely gutting for the guy. Before a Raul Jimenez double ultimately sealed the points for Wolves, giving them their first win since another 2-goal comeback against Man City. Loving a comeback this year, Wolves. In the process, the Mexican became Wolves' highest ever Premier League goal scorer, with 23 goals since his arrival last season. Although trying to think, Wolves in their first stint in the Premier League, it's probably Kevin Doyle or Matt Jarvis who'd be up there. So
Vintage Wolves,
not the biggest
the Mick
competition.
McCarthy era.
Exactly.
I think he's also got the most goal contributions
In all
for a
competitions.
striker in a calendar year, in all competitions though. I think, or maybe this season, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe it's just this
Because
season.
I think their Europa League campaign started pretty early. So
Yeah.
he's had a few more games than a lot of other players, but well played Jimenez. But somehow Jimenez was actually outshone by Traore, who had 2 assists from 2 key passes, as well as 9 dribbles.
Child's play.
His 5.7 dribbles a game this year, sandwiched in between Neymar and Messi as the second most in Europe's top 5 leagues.
I love him.
And a special mention to Leander Dendonk, who I actually don't think has been fantastic this year, but had a great game on Saturday, playing in that unfamiliar position of centre-back. Racked up 3 tackles, 2 interceptions, 6 aerial duels won, and 4 dribbles.
He's
which from
Pickford's favourite
centre-back.
player
Is he?
because he's got a donk in his name, innit?
Oh, there we go. That took me a little bit. Let's move on from that, though, and hear what Nuno Espirito Santo had to say about their comeback win.
It was amazing the second half they did. We realized that first half was not good, and we react very well. I'm very proud of the players. I was proud even in the first half because I'm very aware of how we are doing things. So let's keep on going.
Stats-wise, a pretty bizarre game, though, if you're just looking at the numbers and you've not watched the game and you're unable to contextualise it. Southampton out shooting Wolves 11-2-8, only mustering an XG of 0.8, though. So a lot of pot shots in there compared to their opponent's 2.3, which is rather decisive from 8 shots, isn't it? They also picked up more possession, did the Saints, on 53%, and a higher pass completion rate, although that was still a sickly 70%. Wolves only managing 64%, which shows you this game got a little bit cagey, a little bit attritional.
Not that high quality.
Yeah, the formations meant that it was quite crowded in midfield. Shane Long, though, probably pick of the bunch, scoring with one of his 3 shots. He won 5 aerial duels as well and 3 tackles. He's always very busy, isn't he? You've got to give him credit for his work rate, although he did only complete 3 of his 15 passes all game. Not fantastic on that front. Southampton have now lost 42 points from winning positions since the beginning of last season. 13 more points than any other side. I mean, 40 points is the holy grail in terms of survival, isn't it? That's what you need to hit to stay in the Premier League, and they've chucked that away since the start of last season. Compare that to Wolves, whose 18 points gained from losing positions in the 19-20 campaign is more than any other side, and you have a recipe for a really entertaining game, which this was. Up next for the Saints is Crystal Palace on Tuesday, while Wolves look to carry this momentum into a clash against champions-elect Liverpool on Thursday night. That won't be an easy tie for Jurgen Klopp's men. Saying that, they'll probably win 3-0. So what are you going to do? Liverpool have won the title. Let's just end winners and losers right now.
The final loser comes in from @Dimble, and it's Leicester City. Unlucky Christopher.
@Dimble, yeah. This game was absolutely honking. In fact, the only one that trumped it over the weekend was Newcastle-Chelsea, which I think might be the worst football match I've watched in the last 18 months.
Yeah, I was glad to be stuck on a train from Milton Keynes during that game.
I'd have taken that all day. Anyway, back to this game. Leicester losing at Turf Moor 2-1, throwing away a golden opportunity to maintain pace with City, although that shouldn't be their objective, should it? They actually threw away the opportunity here, more importantly, to solidify that Champions League spot. Prime weekend for it, and they just couldn't get it over the line. Looked like business as usual when Harvey Barnes gave the Foxes a lead with a superb individual effort after 33 minutes, and Leicester fans have been baying, crying out for some output from Harvey Barnes on that left-hand side, and he delivered in this game. It was his 2nd goal of the season, his 7th goal involvement in total so far. Much better than last campaign, where he came back off a very successful loan stint at West Brom, but only put up around 3 goal involvements, if memory serves me correctly, in 1,000 minutes. So starting to show what a good player he is now. Let's hope for a little bit more of it. Just want a little bit more from him, all right? It's not greedy, just marginally more.
Gotta push him.
Burnley replied with a set-piece goal, of course. Someone ring the gong from Chris Wood in the second half before Harvey Barnes won a foul. Jamie Vardy, awful penalty. Could be a crucial moment in Leicester season, a seminal moment in terms of securing that Champions League football. And it's the first time he's gone 3 games on the bounce without scoring in the Premier League this season. Nick Pope, though, I mean, was he blessed by the Pope for this game?
What a comeback from him.
He was absolutely fantastic in this fixture. Made 2 or 3 outstanding saves as well. And then Burnley were rewarded for their persistence, for their perseverance 11 minutes later when Ashley Westwood smashed in following a Johnny Evans error, uncharacteristic from him, to give Burnley the lead. Leicester have now lost 2 on the bounce, both against relegation-threatened sides, Southampton and Burnley, of course. And the momentum is slowed right down, hasn't it? Let's hear from Big Brendan.
It's an easy game as a manager and a coach to analyse. You're clearly the better team. You take the lead in the game. You have a lot of chances in the game. So it's a mixture of their goalkeeper and us missing opportunities. And then for the goal that we conceded, Westwood has run off our midfield, and that's the basics that you have to get right in football. So if you're not going to win the game because the keeper's having an amazing day, you have to ensure that you do the dirty work.
So Rodgers there having a little go at some of their basic skill levels in this game, and Burnley probably, were slightly fortunate to come out 2-1 winners because XG had it at 1.2 to Leicester's 2.07. The Clarets have only managed at least 1.2 XG in a game in 10 of their 23 games this season. So tied to the back, but not the most thrilling going forward as usual. Despite their first win in 5, Burnley have now failed to score a first half goal in 11 successive league games, the longest run by any team since Burnley, again, failed to do so, going 12 games back in 2015. Man of the match goes to Ashley Westwood, who managed 8 accurate long balls, the most on the pitch bar Nick Pope. He attempted 63 passes, the most on the pitch, and scored the winner, which was his first Premier League goal since April 2019. Well done, Ashley. That was also the last time Burnley won a league game without keeping a clean sheet. So yeah, as I said, can't be relied upon for too many goals. But Chris touched on Vardy's dry run of form, but he shouldn't be too concerned, okay? So he still managed 2 shots on target, which is only just below his 2.4 a game this season, his second best rate of his Premier League career. And his missed penalty was only his 4th out of 22 career pens and his first miss in 5 spot kicks. So if he gets another opportunity next weekend, don't bet against him. The Foxes are still 6 points clear of an inconsistent Chelsea side and 12 points off dropping out of the top 4 completely. And they face relegation-threatened West Ham next. So get back to winning ways on that. Get some momentum back even, and it should be yours, Brendan Rodgers' men. Foxes fans, do you still think you're going to do it though? Surely.
Shocking result. Wilfred Ndidi holding it all together. Rubbish.
Got to love Ndidi.
So that's it for another week of Winners and Losers, guys. Thank you very much for sending your suggestions in. Look out for the tweet on Sunday night, normally, around 8 or 9 o'clock. Unless I've forgotten.
The evening slot.
Then 11. Doogie, what else is out on Football Daily, Euro Football Daily and FDPL right now that people can enjoy after this?
Well, FDPL have launched the second of their new strand, The Game That Made, about Jamie Vardy. Go check that out. Go check out Fridays We Need to Talk, where Joe breaks down another Love Island contestant who's given up his football career. And go and watch Friday's Continental Club on Euro Football Daily, where we're talking about Kike Setien. So a lot to do, but you've got the afternoon.
Is that the second Love Island related We Need to Talk?
It is indeed.
Wow, come on, Joe.
Journalism. Peach journalism.
Peach.
Peachy.
Peak.
Peach.
Peach doesn't make sense.